the predator that no world could tame. Sat quietly beside a human child, the Vorthak had earned its reputation across 17 star systems. Standing nearly 4 meters tall on 6 razor-sharp appendages, its obsidian carapace bore the scars of 1,000 battles. Mandibles that could snap a starship's hull plating clicked rhythmically as its cluster of crimson eyes swept the refugee camp's perimeter. The creature's very presence had cleared entire sectors of space. Worlds surrendered, rather than face what the Galactic Federation had designated as a Class X extinction threat. Yet here it sat, motionless beside a small human child who couldn't have been more than 6 standard years old. Commander Zephys of the Federation rescue vessel Aurora's Hope watched through his binoculars, his 4 arms trembling despite his decades of military service. "How is this possible?" he whispered to his second-in-command, a crystalline Veltar named Ixion. "The child appears to be drawing," Ixion observed, his voice carrying the harmonic undertones that indicated extreme confusion in his species, and the Vorthak is watching. Below them, in the makeshift camp established for refugees from the Kepler 442 colony attack, 6-year-old Maya Chen sat cross-legged on a piece of salvaged hull plating, her tongue poking out in concentration as she sketched with a piece of charcoal. The massive predator beside her hadn't moved in over an hour, its deadly limbs folded beneath its body in what could almost be described as a resting position. The evacuation had been a disaster. The Vorthak had appeared without warning, as it always did, emerging from the quantum void that served as its hunting ground. By the time Federation forces arrived, Kepler 442's primary colony was nothing but crater and ash. The survivors, barely 200 souls from a population of 50,000, had been herded into the camp while rescue ships worked frantically to process them for evacuation. Then the impossible had happened. The Vorthak had simply stopped. "Sir?" came a voice over the comm. Lieutenant Yara, the ship's xenobiologist, sounded breathless. "I need to get closer. The readings I'm getting don't make sense." "Absolutely not," Zephys replied immediately. "That thing has destroyed entire civilizations. It killed 47,000 colonists yesterday. But it's not killing now, is it?" Yara's voice carried a note of scientific fascination that made Zephys's primary stomach clench. "Sir, in 12 years of tracking this entity, we've never seen it remain stationary for more than 17 minutes. It's been sitting there for 73 minutes and counting." Through the binoculars, Zephys watched as Maya held up her drawing, a stick figure representation of what was unmistakably the Vorthak itself. But in her childish interpretation, the creature wore what might have been a smile, and small figures that could only be humans stood nearby, unafraid. The Vorthak's head tilted slightly, examining the artwork with what seemed like genuine interest. "The child isn't afraid," Ixion observed, his crystalline form refracting the alien sunset into prismatic patterns. "How can she not be afraid?" Zephys thought of his own offspring, safe in the Federation core worlds, and tried to imagine them facing such a nightmare. They would be paralyzed with terror. Any rational being would be. Yet Maya simply continued drawing, occasionally glancing up at her massive companion, as if ensuring she captured some important detail. "Perhaps," came another voice over the comm, Dr. Elizabeth Reeves, the human cultural attaché. "Fear is learned, not instinctual. The child may not yet understand what she should be afraid of." Or, Yara interjected, "perhaps the Vorthak doesn't recognize her as prey." The debate continued over the communications channel, but Zephys found himself focused on something else entirely. The other refugees in the camp, adults who should have been screaming in terror, were beginning to emerge from their shelters, not approaching the Vorthak, but no longer hiding. They watched their children's casual interaction with a legend of destruction, and slowly, incomprehensibly, began to relax. An elderly human woman approached Maya, carrying what looked like a food packet. She moved slowly, deliberately, never taking her eyes off the Vorthak. The creature's attention shifted to her, mandibles clicking in what every Federation database identified as a pre-attack warning. But the woman simply sat down beside Maya, opened the food packet, and began to share its contents with the child. After a moment of consideration, she tore off a piece and, with extraordinary courage or extraordinary foolishness, offered it to the Vorthak. The creature's massive head lowered until it was mere centimeters from the woman's outstretched hand. Its mandibles parted slightly, revealing rows of crystalline teeth that could shred durasteel. Then, with impossible delicacy, it accepted the offering. "By the void," Zephys breathed. "Sir," Yara's voice was urgent now. "The Vorthak's biosignatures are changing. Heart rate decreasing, aggressive hormones dropping, neural activity shifting to patterns I've never seen in the species profile. More humans were approaching now. Not many. Courage could only stretch so far, but enough that Maya was no longer alone with the galaxy's most feared predator. They sat in a loose circle, sharing food, speaking in quiet voices, treating the situation as if deadly aliens joining their lunch was the most natural thing in the universe. Maya finished her drawing and held it up again. This time, when the Vorthak looked at it, something extraordinary happened. The creature's mandibles shifted, its posture changed, and from its throat came a sound that no Federation xenobiologist had ever recorded. A low, harmonic rumble that could almost be described as purring. "What are humans?" Ixion asked quietly. Zephys lowered his binoculars, still trying to process what he was witnessing. The Vorthak, the creature that had been the Federation's greatest nightmare, the living weapon that had turned entire sectors into graveyards, was gently nuzzling the head of a human child who had drawn it a picture. "I don't know," he admitted, "but maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needs." Below them, Maya began a new drawing, and the Vorthak settled in to watch, its deadly appendages folded peacefully beneath it. Around them, more humans emerged from hiding, drawn not by bravery or strategy, but by the simple, incomprehensible human inability to leave a child sitting alone, even if that child was sitting beside the most dangerous predator the galaxy had ever known. The rescue operation would continue, but Zephys suspected that everything they thought they knew about humanity, and about the monsters that stalked the void, was about to change forever.